Going.
Good afternoon. I started the stream at a bad time, but welcome to the Cloud Native Coffee Hour. It is Wednesday. We are back. We are back with our normal hosts today, which are Dan McCracken, Sam Delamarter, and me, Dan Makita. How's everybody doing?
Good. How was my Kramer impression?
The second I go live, you just walk off the stream.
Yes. Whatever. I'm terrible, I think. Sam, how are you?
Fine. You know how I am.
It's excitable.
Work changes are always difficult. So, what's our topic today, guys?
So today we'll look at some Kubernetes security related tools. Two of which we're going to highlight is Trivy and Snyk, S-N-Y-K, and see what they can do and how they fit in and just our experience with them, even though it's been a pretty short experience so far. Trivy, at least, we discovered while studying for the CKS. And Snyk, we've heard of it. A lot of these tools we've heard of, just maybe never used, and that's another one. And they both fill very similar functions, so we'll kind of compare and contrast them.
Sweet. Yeah, we, I wasn't a part of your guys' last CKS stream, but I learned a lot, actually. It's really good training. No matter how skilled you are as a practitioner, man, there's always stuff to learn. Just things that you don't, do on a regular basis, and it's just a good reminder. So definitely check that training out. On the Snyk side of things too, I met the creator of Snyk like 4 years ago or 5 years ago at one of the KubeCons, I think it was. Maybe it was Velocity. I don't know. One of the conferences I've been to. I met the guy, and I had lunch with him. He was telling me about it, and at the time, I was pretty early. I was earlier in my career, so I didn't really, and I wasn't into security, so I kind of brushed it off a little bit. But hey, kudos to him for taking it to a point where it's like, it's a thing. It's an industry standard tool. So I have a lot of little weird, interesting stories like that. But anyways, I also met Just Humble once.
Yeah,
I know where it was too.
Oscon.
Wasn't it in the bathroom?
No, it was during lunch. I sat at his table.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. I was totally caught off guard though, because he was just he had a British accent and swears a lot, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm so intimidated, because I was like, I was like 24 or something at the time, so I was like, what do I do? I want to talk to him.
Swear back. Speak his native tongue. Come on.
I'm so sad because I was so young, but I didn't talk to him at the time. I just sat at the table and just listened, and was super creepy. So
yep, just creeper. Yeah,
just creeped out on him. So, anyways, we want to switch over and start taking a look. I did have to jump through some hoops to get the stream running. Do we want to double check that it's working?
I have double checked.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. Okay. Let me do a little switch here over to our screen share.
Okay.
Boom. All right. Let's do it.
So, to start, I figured we'd go to the landscape, because that's where a lot of people start when you're looking at stuff and trying to figure out where to go, what tool to use. So I have it narrowed down by security and compliance, just so we can read it. So the tools we're going to look at is Snyk. I got the Doberman right here, and then Trivy by AquaSecurity, another great company. Both of these tools are basically, Snyk has a lot of functionality. I think Trivy is a lot tighter scope, seems a little more lightweight, but Snyk has a lot more, and we'll kind of look into that. But both of them look for vulnerabilities in your image. So they can scan an image from a repository and highlight any of the known vulnerabilities that are in that container or in that image.
So they do the same thing?
So Snyk is a suite of tools now.
Okay.
I don't know where they originally started, but we're gonna look at it. They got a lot of cool stuff. Like I started out and I was like, Trivy is awesome, and I started playing with Snyk and I was like, oh, all right.
Well, Snyk's got the better branding and marketing here.
Yes. Look at that dog.
All over. That dog is like wants to do something not great to your face, and it stood out at KubeCon where it's like, oh god, I ain't going over there. I was actually intimidated by the booth, so Snyk.
Did they have a Doberman there?
Some feedback. I don't know. I didn't want to find out. I mean, we just kept getting pulled in by the dang magician the whole time.
That would be such good branding. You have a dog there as your mascot, like a real Doberman.
Yeah. But that dog face looked kind of scary. I mean, you're like animal spirit, kindred spirit kind of guy. But like, I like dogs, but like, I'm going over that kind of dog.
If we had a booth and we wanted our mascot, we just have to have a fox at ours.
Nine-tailed fox, yeah.
We'd have to summon one. Okay. Anyway, Trivy. CKS training, they legit say you're going to be tested on Trivy. Snyk didn't make the cut apparently, so Trivy must be more stable. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my high level, very I don't have a ton of experience with these, so disclaimer. Again, Trivy seems it's a very tight scope. There's no limits on the number of times you can scan. Snyk has a ton more features, but if you're doing Snyk actually is kind of built into Docker Desktop. So if you have Docker Desktop and you have the Docker CLI and you build an image, I've noticed it recently, it says, hey, if you want to scan your image for vulnerabilities, run Docker scan to review the Snyk results. So I did that.
Really?
And I have both. I compare our website, DevsOperative website, the Trivy results and the Snyk results. But Snyk, you just run Docker scan and give the image, but you're limited to 10 a month, I think, as a free user. So Snyk has a ton of paid options, whereas Trivy, I think you can do a lot of the same things. Not everything. Snyk does a ton of stuff, but Trivy, you're probably going to be scripting it yourself, but you're able to. I think a lot of feature parity on the image vulnerability scanning itself is there.
Are we going to see those scans today?
Heck yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. I'm very curious.
What could go wrong?
Well, I'm not super concerned about those images, but I'm curious how the results differ and what they look like.
Yeah. So we can get into it. Both are relatively straightforward. I will say, I think it was Snyk to install. I did have to upgrade Xcode to like the latest version and everything, so it was a bit more of an install. Whereas Trivy, again, it just confirming my bias of like this is some lightweight thing that does it, but they're basically the same kind of tool. So we'll start with Trivy. So two things that Trivy can do, and Snyk can do it also, is they can scan your image for vulnerabilities, but they can also scan manifest files, so deployment YAMLs for common security things, and we'll see those. It's pretty cool. Again, disclaimer, I couldn't get it working through the command line for Trivy, but it does show up in the Snyk dashboard, which I'm going to show off. So this is the Trivy CLI, if you guys can see that all right. You just run Trivy image, and then ours is a GitHub container registry for DevsOperative.com. It's updating the database, so it pulls down a database of vulnerabilities locally, and obviously that gets updated all the time with new vulnerabilities, so it goes out and it fetches it if it needs to. It's not huge, but it just depends on your internet how fast this goes. And then the second and third time, this is all cached locally now. We go up to the top. It gives an overview, 85 vulnerabilities total, 41 medium, 39 high, and 5 critical.
Wow.
Yee. You can start to see why all the security guys are always like grumpy.
Yeah, and so I kind of looked at some of them. A lot of this comes from the fact that we're using that Amava template website. And so it has some stuff in there that maybe is out of date. I mean, we haven't updated it in a while, which is part of the reason.
Things that are in there that we're not using.
So exactly, some of it is code that we're not using the functionality, but that doesn't mean that the vulnerability is not there. And so
yeah, the risk is there.
So it's great. It breaks it down by library. It gives, the common vulnerability. I don't remember what CVE stands for, but this is like a common ID. If you go search this, you're going to find this exact vulnerability. It gives you a fixed version if there's a fixed version, gives you some more info, and then on AquaSecurity's website, they give you even more detail. And all command line, super cool. Some other things
Looks
that
great.
I'll highlight. I don't know if I'm going to try to demo it because I don't remember it off the top of my head, but you can filter. So if you want to say, hey, only show me the critical vulnerabilities.
grep critical. Grep critical.
Yeah, grep critical. Yeah, exactly. And I want to say it's severity. Boom, just like that. So super cool. I mean, right? I mean, I'm on the command line. I've got a nice table. Whatever.
Grep critical -C 30.
Yeah, this is nice. Yeah,
Next
this
question.
is nice. But
Okay.
yes, if you want to be elite and just do it that
No,
way.
it's stupid and lazy.
The other thing, so if you're thinking for a CI pipeline, I'm just gonna do dash help. Yes. So there is dash exit code. So exit code when vulnerabilities were found. Default 0. So we can go back and we can say, hey, when you find a critical vulnerability, exit code 1. And I can't remember how to check the exit code because it just prints the stuff too, but trust me, that would fail, and then you could use that in your CI pipeline to know, hey, at least send out the warning or
fail the build. Yeah, that's probably what it would do.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
Such an easy tool.
Yeah,
just to throw into your.
I love how approachable that is. Right.
Right.
Like this is literally like an if statement with a single line in it.
Yeah,
in your Jenkins file.
Right.
Yep.
I suppose the tricky part might be getting that cached database. Like if you were to do it in CI, is it always going to pull that down every time? That would kind of suck. But
you might want it to,
Well, that's fair. It just seems inefficient. If you're building crap ton of images, but I'm with you.
Right. So the other feature is scanning config files, and like I said, I haven't gotten it to work, so I think I'm not going to try it. And I'll pull up this demo right here.
Config files or manifest files?
Config files. So either manifest or infrastructure as code. I believe it has the capability to do both. So like Terraform files and stuff, I think it can scan. This might be a little hard to see on the stream, but if you go to aquasecurity.github.io and go to Trivy, they have a couple GIFs of demos, but it's pretty cool. So I'll read it out. Image user is root. So in the Docker file, they didn't specify a non-root user, and so when that container starts, it's going to start with the user as root, which is obviously not good. And it calls out a few different things like that. So again, like this is another thing that you could use to inspect your manifests and potentially fail a build or a deployment. The one thing as we were studying that I was kind of looking for this is great for your build pipeline, but what I kind of wanted and didn't find was something in your cluster potentially, even so that if Joe Schmo goes and makes an update to your deployment, or any of those kind of config files that would, whatever, somehow throw an audit or a warning like, hey, that's now out of compliance. But if you're using GitOps and nothing drifts, then maybe that's why it's not there. I don't know.
That's funny.
That was just something I was looking for.
What dream world do you live in where nothing drifts? Oh, Sam, he's so young and so full of life and believes in trust of other people. You can't believe anybody, Sam. This is a security stream. There's hackers everywhere. I got my guy, what's the guy's name? Guy Fawkes hat or mask.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the thing?
Anonymous.
Correct. You wear that thing, the spooky thing, scarier than the dog face. You know what you could do? I can't believe this wouldn't do that. You could totally write an integration that sucks out all your config. I'll use config because you're using that terminology. You could suck out all of the -o YAML from all your stuff from time to time. Bump it up against that and be like, hey, what's going on? Has this deviated? That is, I mean, you could really catch, I mean, you'd have to, if you were a hacker and you got into some Kubernetes cluster and you were screwing around with manifests, editing on the fly or whatever. I mean, I guess something like this might catch tampering.
Right.
But really, you're just going to catch the lazy people. I'm just kidding.
Right.
Maybe.
And that's a good point, because like this isn't going to prevent them from doing it.
Yeah.
Or at least it's not a thing. So, whatever, we can make a controller that prevents them from doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there are obviously other tools that would maybe prevent some of these configurations within your manifests, but very cool tool. So that's basically all that Trivy does, which that's a ton.
That's
and
all.
There's so many use cases for it. So we'll go back, I think, to here. So yep, we had 85, 5 critical. So now if we go back, we'll look at this. So yeah, I'm running a Snyk scan through Docker scan because I don't know. I think you can install a CLI locally, but whatever. This was, it intrigued me because, Docker tells you about it. So hopefully my login's all there and it works. Otherwise, we'll scroll back up.
Oh, wait a minute. How'd you go from Docker scan to Snyk? Did I miss something?
So if you do a Docker build, Docker desktop, it'll spit out, hey, if you want to scan your image to see the Snyk results, run Docker scan.
Okay.
And so I ran it at first and I got this error and I was like, what the heck is this? You just told me I could run this and now I'm getting an error immediately.
So you installed Snyk and then you do Docker scan and you're good to go?
You don't install Snyk, but what you have to do is you have to go connect your Docker account to a Snyk account. And so there's server-side stuff that's managed by Snyk, and that's why you get your 10 scans a month as a free user, just as a Docker user, whatever.
So the scan happens remotely?
Server-side?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Docker, right? It's.
Huh, that's cool. That's interesting. I would love to look at that more.
Yeah. That is
Researching.
pretty, because obviously to run. Maybe we'll try that. Like if I quit Docker desktop and I don't have this image locally, does it just do the stuff in the cloud and then tell me the results?
Right. Or is it sucking it down to your machine and then piping it to whatever, the other cloud, Snyk cloud? It's definitely a thing. I've heard of some other vendors, I can't think of them off the top of my head, that do this. And I always thought it was kind of weird too. It's like, okay, I mean, I guess I get it. Because then you don't have to manage that little database.
Yeah.
But the amount of friction, and I don't mean to park on, actually, we'll do a recap. I'll talk about that later.
So I will say, I did see in the Snyk dashboard, you have to like click the checkbox of like, it's okay that Snyk has my image for, they're going to retain it for up to 24 hours because of some of the stuff that they're doing on their side. So it probably is on their side. But if we look at the results, it says it's only found 21 issues, found 81 dependencies, which I don't know how Trivy displays, like, you have 81 different things pulled into your image. But got some high severities for curl. OpenSL, I don't know. There's a lot here. I think I like Trivy's table a little more for the command line output. But I mean, it gives you a lot of stuff. And again, like, it gives you the common vulnerability ID. It gives you some info. You can go look at Snyk.io and look up more info.
I don't like this output as much.
Yep.
On the command line as Trivy.
And another thing with Trivy, I believe you can ask it to output.
It's like JSON or YAML.
Yes. So like, if it fails, then, in the build fail email, include the result or whatever. I don't know.
Do a -f YAML. Oh, actually, never mind. -f JSON maybe? I think, tables default. I wonder what template is.
So template, I believe you can supply, and that's where you can supply an HTML template, and it will raster that, inflate that, whatever, with
that's cool.
It's pretty cool. So, like, at this point in my experience of learning, I was like, Trivy is awesome. I don't care what Snyk can do. Yeah, they're in with Docker. And then I went to their website and I started reading the marketing. It looks pretty cool. So,
all right, let's see it.
We're gonna go over there. So I was like, okay, cool. Snyk wizard. It'll analyze your stuff.
Dog wolf.
I love the marketing.
Uh-huh. So then I started reading it and I was like, wait, what? Will it find and fix vulnerabilities in 5 minutes?
Fix?
The big feature that I was like, oh man, maybe I gotta try this. I think it's a paid feature, but it will just auto fix those or auto remediate those vulnerabilities for you. If you hook it up with your source code and your image and say like, this image is from this source, and it knows that, hey, like for the simple ones, right? For just like update this version of whatever library to the newer version so you don't have that vulnerability. It'll open a PR from Snyk with those changes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's...
I was like, that's pretty good, man.
Okay, I can see why they're a paid service. They're basically auto coder.
Yep. Huh. And then I started looking more, and I'll show off the dashboard. The dashboard is really cool, but it's like, I'm not totally sure what all Snyk does or what piece you use where, because they have a lot of products. So yeah, I think the Snyk open source is just, I don't know, find and automatically fix. So I think that is the CLI or the interface for it. Snyk code, I believe, is like an IDE plugin. So as you're in your IDE, it's just scanning your code already, and before you check it in, it's like, hey,
that's a thing.
Yeah. There's lots of those kind of plugins, but still very cool.
But open a PR for me, suggesting a PR. What the? Okay, because maybe this is the time out to make my comment. Reducing the barrier to me wanting to run that is gonna be the winner. And I was in Trivy, it was like, are you kidding? I can get tons of data, cheap time, and yeah, it's easy. And like, there's no reason for me not to do it. I feel huge brain by running the most simplest of commands and feeling really good about, well, I know a lot more than I did a minute ago. But this, never mind. The upfront cost is probably way worth auto PR me, please, with the fix, with the recommended fix. It's not like you have to do it, but it's like, well, if you want strong posture, just click the PR button. And the dog wants it, you know, like, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it does depend on the use case and like, you know, if you're just setting up some side project and you want to make sure it's still secure, you know, throw Trivy in there, or at least run your Trivy scans manually every once in a while, whatever. But like, if you're a big enterprise and you can afford a product like this, oh my gosh, it's got a lot of stuff. Look at the pricing real quick, and then we'll go to the dashboard.
I'm looking forward to that dashboard.
It's really cool, and I kind of want to make a couple of fixes. Maybe, I don't know. So yeah,
business.
I love the let's talk price. You know it's good when they say let's talk.
Well, what do we talk? 200. How many? 5 devs? Wouldn't it be on? It's based on developers.
Do the sure. business.
Sorry, what?
Click the business drop down. Yeah, that one. The drop down for developers. 75 it maxes out at.
Right. So I'm not sure, what the per developer is. Like, it might be unlimited scans for 75 people or something. I don't know. But again, I would think this type of, like, if you're going with this, then it's more focused on the number of scans in general. Like, if you have one developer that's, you know, pushing hundreds of builds versus, you know, it doesn't matter how many developers you have. It's really just the number of builds and the number of images that they're scanning.
Does AquaSecurity have something that competes with this?
They might. They have a ton of tools, so that may be the fair point of, go back to Aqua and look, what does Aqua have?
Auto PR is an insane way. I'm sorry. That's an insane way to communicate. You know, if you're a security focused individual in an enterprise, and you can communicate. Let me start with today. The way security folks sometimes communicate is a ticket or like an IM and be like, hey, we want you to do all this work because, and they don't even really tell you the just because we said so, and here's the CVE and do it. And, you know, I always pick up on the interpersonal communication pieces between these. I mean, that's really something I'm really into focusing on. Not many people in IT enterprise give a crap. And, you know, so there's some people that are just oblivious to how bad that looks to developing a good relationship between people, much less silos in an enterprise. If you could be the security guy and just be like, hey, could you do this? That you know how much better that communication is? That speaks volumes. And it's going to be done. Well, number one, it's going to be done way faster. And the other people are going to be like, I really appreciate that. Like, it's just going to be, they might be charging the right amount. 50 grand a month. Or wait a minute, 50 grand a year? Okay. For a pretty big company.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you could argue it's worth way more than that. I don't have that kind of money, but some people do, you know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Aqua's got to have something too.
Right. I haven't seen a ton of like demos as far as the infrastructure as code, but I mean, that's pretty cool too. Like, I think it says it in the product, right?
Where did our good friend just get hired?
Which one?
CyberArk?
Yes. That's also a good idea.
Yeah, maybe we'll tell Foxy about this auto PR feature. He can.
Here's I'm just doing some Googling too. Aqua checkmarks Snyk. Remember checkmarks?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I do remember. Where was that?
At a place that shall not be named, where we used to work. The healthcare company. Yeah, and they implemented check marks and all the builds failed. We're like, oh my God. And then we had to work with very nice people on the security side to be like, hey, you need to get rid of these. Or stop scanning this stuff. This is out of our control. Or, we got exceptions for the things that were dumb. But we caught lots of good stuff, I think. Even that rollout, it's like I was very open-minded on it. It's so hard. That's the thing. So that's what I'm trying to prop up with Snyk. Like, they're nailing something here. I mean, I'm intrigued just as a passive observer. Like, if you could communicate via PR, oh my gosh, you're gonna get so much adoption, or so much better reception. It's still gonna be hard to get your developers to like change their behavior, but if you literally start speaking PR, you're gonna be successful. There's no doubt.
So show us the dashboard. Let's go
to the dashboard. So let's go high level overview. In the dashboard, I connected my GitHub account and added our DevsOperative.com repo and our .com helm. So everybody that's watching, our .com repo has the actual HTML in it, and I believe the Docker file. And then the Helm repo just has our Helm templates, our Kubernetes manifest that will get applied. And so like I clicked a couple buttons and it just started scanning and showing up. It was super cool. So yeah, gives you a nice overview. Click into either one of these. If you go into the .com, so this is the HTML and the Docker file, I'm pretty sure. Starts going through and shows you your code, the reference point and the actual file. So yeah, a lot of the stuff, we didn't write that, but yeah, it's our code. So feels bad. And this is where I started looking for the fix it feature and couldn't find it, but I know I saw it in the demo and was like, but I want to know where the button is to just PR me this fix. I also haven't clicked on that, so let that load. But yeah, it super great, ranked by severity score, priority score. But and this is pretty similar to a lot of those other tools that have dashboards for scanning your stuff, for static code analysis.
That's what it looks like to me too.
Right.
Sonar or whatever. Find bugs.
Yep. Yeah. So it's really, I'm still just like over the moon about the PR feature.
Yes. Where is this? How much money do I have to pay to see it once?
Right. Uh-huh.
Start free trial.
Sure. But then I'll go to the other repo. So this is our templates. I think it's showing just the deployment because that's maybe all that it scans. I don't know. But then you go through and it tells you one by one, like, hey, container does not drop all default capabilities. It gives you the exact path to that part of the spec. Yeah, and so like it would be fairly easy, and that's why like it would be cool if I could just click the PR button. I don't know if it's because I'm on a free account or what. That's my assumption is I gotta pay, and then there'd be a fix. But like for all the static code analysis tools out there, I haven't heard of that many that do manifests or infrastructure as code. It's usually on the application side. So seeing this was super cool to me.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed. I'm kind of blown away by this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work to do now.
Maybe not if it auto fixes your code.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Right. And even if that just does all the easy ones, like, that's great.
Yeah.
Then you only spend time on the ones that are harder, and like
Yep.
you don't have to worry.
I love it. I'm just taking it all in right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I kind of want to look at the other ones that are out there. I want to see what Aqua has, what CyberArk has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, I mean, Trivy can do the manifest stuff. I just couldn't get it to work. And now the demo's not loading. But I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be able to do Trivy conf and then point it to a directory with manifest files. And yeah, because I sent, let me see if I can pull up. I sent it to you, McCracken, right? Let me copy this. Copy link.
What?
I sent you the diff of the config demo. Yeah, so maybe this will highlight it a little better. So again, Trivy can do this. Snyk just has a really nice dashboard, and you can pay him lots of money to use it. And the auto PR thing is, yeah, that's golden. But yeah, so I think it would give you that same kind of stuff as right here.
It's good. Everybody needs to know this. I mean, these are, you feel dumb until you learn something. I did. It's like, dang, where's this been all my life? It's like, well, how new is this? How new is Trivy anyway? Has this been out there a long time?
Handy dandy dashboard. First commit 3 years ago.
Long enough.
Yep. Long enough.
Well, it kind of depends on when it gained
stuff.
adoption, or hit a critical mass, what have you.
I don't have much to say because I'm just so excited to, I don't know, dig into it more.
Yeah, there's one more thing that I kind of wanted to point out that I feel like is pretty related to these two tools. So I think through maybe Killer SH practicing for the CKS, I saw something on this repo. So Distroless, it's a Google thing, but they have a handful of base images that you can use that basically strip away everything other than exactly what your app needs. So even if you're using a base image of like OpenJDK or whatever, that's going to have extra stuff that you don't really need to run your jar. So this has a bunch of options. The other thing is it's super small. So it's even smaller than Alpine Linux. Alpine Linux is super small, so it's like half the size, but you're going from 5 megs to 2, whatever. Yeah, and an example of how to do it and how that relates to Trivy and Snyk is, the smaller the attack surface, the less vulnerabilities they're going to be. Kind of like we mentioned, like you might have code in your image that you don't use or whatever that's just there, but that doesn't mean that the vulnerability can't be exploited. Same thing with your base image. All those layers, they get pulled in. So, when you're doing, in your Docker file, just because you have one, do you know what that has in it? What is that pulling in that could have a vulnerability? And that's where, Trivy and Snyk, they go all the way, through all of the base images, so any vulnerabilities. But point being, like, limit it as much as you can, and that will fix some just by doing that. And
does that kind of segue into the bill of materials conversation?
Yeah, Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. Maybe that's the next stream.
Well, no, maybe that's like, okay, Trivy needs to implement that so that I can get that for free.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Seems like
What is the name of that tool, Sam? It was talked about a lot at KubeCon, and it was I thought it was a build of materials.
Yeah, SBOM, software bill of materials.
Maybe it wasn't the SBOM.
There was one tool, and I went to a talk, and it was really cool, but it's really early on, and it only has support for Golang right now, but you can run it, or I can't remember how it was configured as a part of the build, but it will go through all of your source code, and so like Golang, any of the modules you're pulling in, and then look at your Docker file and any of those images it's pulling in, and if you have your manifest, and it creates a software bill of materials and says like, hey, we have external dependencies on this, and this, and it does stuff with, I can't remember what signature project, but it signs everything. Everything has a layer, and everything has that, so you can be completely sure that when you hand your final artifact over, like, they know what they're getting, which is,
I think it was the sign thing, the PGP signing a package. Wasn't there like a super popular or thing, Signify or Signify or something?
I don't remember. I know what you're talking about. You're not crazy, but it's escaping me at the moment.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just trying to find it, and then I found the word I was looking for. I just can't remember the name of the actual package, because Helm's going to start using it. And it just kind of fits all in here. I only bring it up just because, like you said, the build of materials.
Yep.
But also things like Helm is now focusing on security, and how are you going to sign your Helm charts so you know that they're official charts. It really feels like the entire community is moving in the direction of, hey, it's time we make this thing super secure.
Right. And I think a lot of the capabilities are out there. It's just the adoption, right? And so it was cool to see projects like Helm, and I can't remember what were the two build pipeline. Tecton is integrating a bunch of stuff so that you don't have to know how to sign all of your pieces. It's just going to do it for you, and it's going to put it into a data lake of signatures of like, this matches up with this, and that's final. Yeah, so I think it was Tecton when we went to a Tecton versus Argo talk, I believe. So I bring that up because it's cool seeing projects that everybody is already using, taking some steps to just kind of give you the correct defaults and bring in some of the more security focused features by default, so we don't have to learn everything, again, or implement new tools. It's just kind of there.
Yeah. I think it's the right approach, man. The right approach is make it super easy. Make it so that you need to know about it. Number one, I think getting people's attention about security seems like a tall order. I think most people, go, oh my God. It brings fear and anxiety when you start talking about it. But which is why I'm really glad you put this together today for the stream, Sam, is these are so approachable. These are so approachable, and you're going to handle like most of the big problems you're going to catch here. Obviously this isn't a silver bullet. You're always going to be working on reducing your attack surface. I like how you put that. But image vulnerability, that shouldn't be one of them. Library vulnerability, those shouldn't be your problems anymore. Or at least, you've got a low friction way to that can't be an excuse. Shouldn't be.
Well, I mean, if you break it down, you can take two tools, super simple, free, QBench, Trivy, work those into your two pipelines. One for when you build a cluster, you run QBench. If Kubebench reports problems, exit. And then same with image building. Hey, scan it with Trivy. If you find a problem, exit. 2 small things. You could literally add both of those to your pipelines within like 30 minutes and immediately make everything just so much more secure.
Well, and your config as code. So it's like you've got your config as code, Trivy scan, Kubebench, post build scan, and then, well, I'm about to deploy my I'm doing CI on my apps that I'm going to build, Trivy image scan. So yeah, you've got a right there. You really have almost no excuse not to run those because it's so cheap. As long as you know it's a thing, these are very approachable. I'm kind of geeked out about it too, and this has been an area that I've been very intimidated by as a developer in the past. Kubernetes security, it's like, oh my God, it's a deep hole. But man, that is not the case anymore, or hopefully it hasn't been for a while. But man, I'm telling everybody I know about it, and I'm glad you brought it up today because it's fun. It's kind of fun. Feels good.
Well, I think we covered a lot. Actually, the time has flown by. This is a good stream, good content. So we will upload this content here to YouTube this week for those that missed the first stream. But if you guys want to rewatch it, because I know we're that entertaining, so feel free to go back.
Any rewatch us at 1.5. Go ahead.
Any other thoughts you guys want to share before we wrap up the stream for the day?
I don't think so. We'll add links to the show notes.
CKS certifications acquired for Mr. Sam and myself, and there's just so much. It was very good experience. I think we're going to do future streams on Killer SH and trying to make this even more approachable to people so that they understand the why behind it and understand just some of these blind spots that you might have and how approachable these tools are right now. Like this is awesome. So hopefully future content there.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending the Cloud Native Coffee Hour. I hope you enjoyed your time. Happy Wednesday, and enjoy your week. We will be back next week with more wonderful Kubernetes Cloud Native content. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye-bye.